Alrighty, good morning, everybody. I have Kevin Saurette joining Late Night with Smitty today, and Commissioner of the MJHL playoffs, or playoffs, of the MJHL Manitoba Junior Hockey League. And the playoffs were on my mind because they just wrapped up. What an eventful series, wasn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, I was looking early on, it was looking like it was going to be a shorter series with
Hmm?
Blizzard up 3-1, and they kind of had controlled play up to then. Their only loss was a double overtime loss in that series, but credit to Dauphin, they played great hockey in game 5 and 6, and especially in game 6 in the paw. Obviously I was there, and it was a bit of a heartbreaker. That community was ready to explode. There was a ton of excitement, full building. I think the community was ready to party and celebrate the Turnbull Cup, and it got taken from them. So it was a little bit of reminiscent of a few years ago when Swan Valley, um, they lost Game 6 in Swan Valley to the Portage Terriers, and they ended up actually losing Game 7 in overtime as well. So,
Right.
but with that loss, set up a Game 7 in the MJHL finals, which as a league, it's you can't ask for much better. And for it to go into triple overtime, full building, great atmosphere, great hockey on the ice. It was a testament to the season overall, just the parity and the competitiveness of
Hmm.
the league across the board. And it was also interesting, the narrative of the league this year was that the East was stronger. And then, you get into playoffs and you get into the second round, and it's a East versus West matchup in both series, and the
Yeah.
West won, and it sets up a West and a Northern final. So it was very exciting for that region. And obviously the Blizzard, I think they'll be great representatives. They really came together and playing great hockey in playoffs. I'm sure they didn't want like going to game 7, just with wear and tear on those kids, and it was heavy hockey. But yeah, it'll be interesting. The national championships start this week, and we're sending in theory, it's our sixth place team that won the MJHL playoffs this year. So I think if they can go to the national championships and do well and represent the league well, that's a big statement to where this league's at. If our sixth place team is going there and competing for a national championship.
Yeah, that's I think you summed it up nicely, right? And it's always good to get the mix and yeah, the exposure of these teams. And I was watching the Rod Peterson show yesterday, and I said, "Go Northern Blizzard," and there he is in Florida, and he's like, "Oh yeah, and just kind of giving the MJHL its due and that sort of thing." And I know the other leagues, whether it's the AJ or whether it's Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. But Manitoba, I think they hold their own, honestly.
Yeah, I think I think the perception has changed a lot over the years. Um, in years past, it was maybe a second or third option for players, the MJHL, and now it's a first or second option, especially for those young players, on their as they move up the development ladder. I think the MJHL has been an amazing stop for players, and they realize that, and the families. You even look at the Blizzard, I think it's the youngest team we've ever had win the championship, and they have a lot of 16, 17-year-olds that are playing important minutes, getting that opportunity. And you look at what, even with the SJHL, MJHL showcase, the MJHL, we won 4 games to 2 over the SJHL. And in the last number of years, the Centennial Cup, when we went to the format where every league champions represented, I think it's between us, Saskatchewan and AJ, who have had the top finishes over the last number of years, and we've consistently been in the quarters or the semifinals. So yeah, it's a testament to where the league's at, and when you compare it nationally, we've definitely been a top echelon league over the years.
Yeah, it's where do you kind of see the league going? You've been in the position now for about since 2020, taking over from Kim Davis, and we all know what happened with COVID and that sort of thing. But where do you kind of see it in the next, you know, 5, 10 years? we have Steinbach here with our new building, and remember what you told me in in the airport there at Pearson. It's like going to a Jets game, and that's always stuck in my head since then. And just where do you see it, like maybe from an expansion point of view, or just the overall? And you've kind of alluded it to here, but just the overall health of the league.
Yeah, I think it's positive. I think our teams do a great job, and we have an amazing board of governors that do a really good job of putting their league hat on when they come to the meetings and not just being focused internally on their own teams. But obviously, the landscape is changing, and it seems to be changing every year for junior hockey. So it's something we're very cognizant of. But our approach has always been, we got to worry about what we're doing as a league because really the rest doesn't matter if we're not providing a good product and a good environment and high level resources and facilities and development opportunities on and off the ice for these players. So that's something we've taken with pride. I know at our AGM's upcoming at the end of the month, and raising the standard of the league in all areas is going to be a major focus. So we just want to make sure that we're we're a league of choice for players, especially high-end young Manitoba players and beyond that see the league as a stepping stone to obviously it's a development league. So we want players advancing to all levels. And if you follow the MJHL, our motto is play here, go anywhere. And that's something that we truly believe in. It doesn't matter if you're going to the Western Hockey League, NCAA, U Sports, professionally. For us, an advancement to those levels is very positive, and that's the goal. And it's up to each team to provide the environment that allows for that. So it's no, I think we're still, in my opinion, we're probably in the top half of junior A leagues, and we're always pushing to be the top.
Yeah, when guys come here from like California, I think of the Burns kid here from Steinbach. Like, how does he find out about Steinbach, right? It's like, it's like the kid that from the Bahamas that attends Providence College. How in the world did you find out about this place? So I think that speaks to the kind of the that reputation and the hearing and the networking of people, and that sort of thing. So I mean, I think that's all good and. Again, I think it's great hockey, no question. Even going back to the Anavet Cup when Nipawin played Steinbach here, Nipawin won that first game, and but it was like okay, yeah, they they landed up winning that series. So, um, it's even though Nipawin was a more physical team, no question.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's where, even the years past when it was the Anavet Cup model, I think we won the last four or five,
Hmm.
against the SJHL. So there's always been that narrative that the other leagues may have been better, but I honestly think that narrative is gone or it's been reduced significantly. We know as a league we have a very strong league, and you can just look at the our record over the last few years and our number of advancements. And even when you look across the league at the quality of facilities and the quality of programs we have, I think there's not a lot of leagues that can match what we have in this province. And you have the Steinbach Pistons who have just built an amazing facility, and you have the Winkler Flyers who are doing a massive renovation on their building, which is going to be ready for the end of next season projected. And
Hmm.
the Dolphins, the Winklers, the Verdens, the Selker, like there's a lot of amazing facilities and communities in this league. And we just want to make sure that we're providing that elite development opportunity for players and helping them advance in their careers.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you speak to Verdun, they landed up hosting Lethbridge and the Wheat Kings in that building. And again, if you would have told me 30 years ago that would have happened, I would have said no way, right? So it's usually Winnipeg, but they got stuff going on or Dauphin, but they were doing their series. So I mean, for them to play in Verdun, I think that speaks to a testament of hey, yeah, we'll come play there. So that's good. You say you're going off to Calgary here shortly. What do you what's kind of going to be your role? What do you plan to do? I know the Centennial Cup's going on, but what are you going to be exactly doing there during the Centennial Cup?
Well, obviously you're there supporting your team and you're watching all the games, and then it's a time where as the CJHL, all the commissioners are there
Hmm.
and Hockey Canada. So there's a lot of meetings, a lot of networking. Our CJHL AGM is taking place that weekend or over that event. So yeah, you're just there as you have a team there, so you're representing your organization and your league, and then you're also participating in league meetings and you're watching great hockey over the course of the 10-day event, and you get to see kind of where you stand compared to other leagues, and you get a chance to talk to other leagues and what do you guys do in this situation? What programs are you guys providing? And it's just kind of a good way to get a better understanding of where you are and what you're doing as a league, and then kind of comparing and contrasting and discussing how things work in your specific province. And so it's a good event. It's a good chance for us commissioners to all get together in person, and it's a good chance to work with Hockey Canada and their staff. So it really is. It's just a big hockey event where there's a lot of people, a lot of meetings, a lot of watching amazing hockey, and just getting to you know touch base with people you wouldn't normally do over the course of the year, other than on Zoom meetings.
Yeah, good, good. So what are
Yeah,
your kind
I
of
might I might try to sneak out to Banff too if I get a few times and spend
yeah?
the day.
You know what? I wouldn't blame you one bit. That's always I mean it's literally just in the backyard basically. So nice scenery to go. So that's good. What are some of your day-to-day operations as a commissioner overall? How does a Monday look or a Tuesday morning look when games aren't necessarily being played?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a job where I have my hands involved in everything, from working with the board of governors, working with the coaches and the general managers, the sponsorship and marketing side of things, the all of the trade management and player movement management is done through myself, overseeing the MJHL Department of Player Safety, overseeing the MJHL officiating program. We have a number of events that are always ongoing. Our prospect camp is upcoming at the end of the month, and then our schedule planning meetings will be taking place at the end of the month. So there's that process of going through and gathering the dates from all of the teams, and making sure our scheduling program is ready for the end of the month, with working with our statistician. A lot of meetings, a lot of programming that we have in the league where, right now as you go into May and June, it's busy, but it's a different busy. It's obviously you're not on because the games are over.
Hmm.
Right now, it's all full planning mode for the 25-26 season within all aspects of what's necessary for an elite junior A league. So it's a little bit of everything. It's an interesting job. You're available 24/7, but I think like many jobs now, we have an office downtown Winnipeg, which obviously the league staff will get together and discuss things that are going on. But as long as I have my laptop and my phone, I can work from anywhere, and I'm always available. So it's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, when you say you're always available, so yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to me at the Pearson.
Yeah, exactly.
That's much appreciated. So, my wife thought I was a bit over the top, but whatever. Who have been some of your role models and mentors that have helped you kind of get to this point?
Yeah, good question. I guess you always gotta go to your dad, who's the one that, brought you up in hockey and coached me for many years, and someone I look up to immensely. And, when I first got into the role of the MJHL, like my background, obviously, for those that don't know, is I played junior hockey in the Western Hockey League and the SJHL, and then I went to the University of Manitoba for 5 years and played with the Bisons. 2 years I was in the States kind of going back and forth between the East Coast Hockey League and the American Hockey League. So obviously amazing experience. My goal with that was I wanted to give it 2 years to try my best to get to the NHL. Um, I was closer than most, but didn't get there. I went to training camps and summer development camps, but once you reach that age where you're the 26, 27 and you don't have a contract, the writing's pretty much on the wall. So had an opportunity to go to Europe with my wife and I to Germany, and we just decided we'd take the chance and go experience Germany. We didn't have kids yet, so we went for 1 year, and then we ended up staying overseas for 8. Absolutely loved it.
Nice.
5 years in Germany and 3 years in Belfast with the Belfast Giants.
Hmm.
Uh, both daughters were born overseas, and then in preparation for life after hockey, the one amazing program the Belfast Giants provide is that they'll actually pay for you on top of your salary to do your MBA. So that's really where I started the process of working in life after hockey. I did my MBA with a 2-year-old while playing professional hockey, so it was quite the year. I think I aged a little bit that year, but that allowed me to really go after some high level hockey jobs when I retired. And the MJHL, the director of operations, was a new post at that time. It was a new job that was created, and I was successful in my application, and so I started that process with Kim Davis. And I think just for the league standpoint and my role now, I would say Kim helped me a lot. It was a very nice transition where he was a longtime commissioner. I was the director of operations for 4 seasons, I believe, and it was really just it was everyone knew what was going to take place is I was going to take over for Kim. So it was a really nice transition. There was no animosity. Us just working together and me taking more and more on as the years went on. And then, when I eventually took over as commissioner, I was basically doing the commissioner role already. So it was a very smooth transition, but um, Kim Kim helped me a lot, obviously, working day in, day out with him. He had been in the league for 15, 16 years at that time. But he was a wily veteran because he stepped away right before COVID happened. So I got left with the ball my first year commissioner right in the middle of COVID. But yeah, I would say, Kim was a big help in this role. And then obviously now I talk to a lot of different commissioners. I have a lot of contacts in the NHL, the American Hockey League, Hockey Canada, USA Hockey. So anytime I have questions or I want to learn about what others are doing and how they do it, I have a lot of contacts that I can rely on.
Yeah, I think that's good, right? And just to have those supports in place because just like any job, can never stop learning, right? So those are all good things to have in your life and that sort of thing. Um, I always make a bunch of notes, but it just kind of flows. Maybe a final few questions. Any superstitions as a commissioner? I usually ask players this, but any superstitions, or maybe that you had as a player that you transitioned to being commissioner?
No, you know what? My superstitions left from my playing days. I had a lot. I always did everything left to right.
Mhm.
It had to be perfectly timed. My warm-ups were the exact same. I had a lot of habits and superstitions while I played, but as a commissioner in this role, there's no superstitions. It's just do the work, try to stay in front of it.
Mhm.
You always remember that if you don't get it off your plate, there's 10 things coming at you. So it's just, trying to balance life and work.
Mhm.
Obviously, I have 2 young daughters. One's 12 and one is 10, and both very active in sports. Obviously, they both play hockey, soccer, basketball, flag football. So it's trying to balance that work life and that work balance. And I have the opportunity with this job to coach my daughters, which is a huge benefit and something I love. I know we don't have the girls at this age for that many years, so you're you're trying to make the most of it and be involved as much as you can, and obviously still doing the job that needs to be done.
Yeah. Good, good. And what do you think about the Jets? Do you think after their Kawhi Leonard moment of the, well, that was 4.3, but the 1.6, do you think they have a good chance versus Dallas in the next round?
Yeah, well, I think they got over a major hurdle, that's for sure.
Mm.
They've they've faced enough adversity now to bring them through another series or two. I mean, that game seven was amazing. I don't think anyone thought they were going to tie it up, especially, in those closing moments when Ehlers, lost the puck at the blue line and then he fans on it the next time he gets it, and just everything worked perfect, and it was amazing for the city, and it was good testament to those players. You could just tell they did not quit. They gave it their all. They lost Scheifele, lost Morrissey during the game. I think if they can get those guys back in short order, a series like that might just be what they need to really take off and get that confidence. And as you know, every series the matchups are different, right? You match up against some teams much better than you do against other teams. And St. Louis, you got to feel bad for the Jets in a way. The President's winners, and then they get the hottest team in the NHL that matches up against them very, very well. So not really rewarded for that regular season they had, but they got through it. And you look at the Leafs last night, and I don't think anyone would have thought that they would have won game one, to be honest. With the Panthers coming in and sitting there ready for them, but the Leafs had a huge win. So, I expect the same from the Jets, but obviously those two players are a big piece that need to come back healthy.
Yeah, I think that's going to be big, and I think a lot of pundits are picking the Jets to win because Dallas isn't as good 5-on-5 as some other teams. Like the Jets would have that advantage, but again, definitely getting 55 and 44 back is going to be huge.
And Dallas, they're hot too. I mean, they just knocked off Colorado, so they're going to be coming in very confident as well. So it's going to be a good series.
It is, and to overcome two goal leads, and it only happened twice prior. It happened in back-to-back nights, so I don't know if there was a full moon out or something, but
Yeah.
wild times. Good, good. Well, this has been awesome, Kevin. Wish you all the best in Calgary for the upcoming week, and again, thanks for making the time. It's definitely much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. And obviously always appreciate your support for the MJHL.
Yeah, no worries. I'll have to get those season tickets soon.
Yeah. Well, just keep being nice.
Oh yeah, no worries. Take care. Safe
Okay,
travels.
thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Have a good
yeah.
day.
You too. Bye bye.